A week after Antonio Brown went live from the Steelers locker room following the win over the Chiefs, the Patriots held Brown to 7 receptions for 77 yards, snapping a streak of 4 straight games with 100 yards receiving in the postseason. Max, we know Odell Beckham heard it after the whole yacht club controversy. He was excoriated. Do you think Antonio Brown should be treated the same?
He should be treated worse. Now, one of the reasons that Odell is treated as poorly as he is at this point is because he didn't ball in the playoffs. Touchdown pass was in his hands. He dropped it. Third down catch in his hands. Would have been a first down. He dropped it. He dropped another pass at a pivotal moment. So he didn't ball. No one's trying to hear it. You create a distraction. Supposedly, they can link those two things. Even if there isn't an actual link, you know what the perception is going to be. And partly as a result of your play, your team lost. That's bad. But in terms of the actual so-called crime off the field, on his day off, he decided to go to Florida. That's his business. And by the way, he wasn't the only one who went. It wasn't that big a deal, really. It became a big deal when he didn't ball. Antonio Brown violates the privacy and the sanctity of the locker room by posting, not just taking video, but to Facebook Live. The operative word is live. And as he's doing it, his coach is saying, you can overhear him in the background, Tomlin saying, stay off of social media. So the thing that Odell did, what's really the big deal? The big deal is he failed to play like Odell Beckham Jr. in the playoffs. The thing that Antonio Brown did is a violation of the locker room and his coach and his teammates. And if I were a teammate of one or the other, I'd be more angry at Antonio Brown than Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, I don't think that's the question, though, because what it comes down to is what's worse. And we know that Antonio Brown was worse in terms of his behavior. But in terms of the impact, that had nothing to do with what transpired against the Steelers yesterday. He was targeted 9 times. He caught 7 catches for 77 yards. A New England defense, championship tried and tested, coached by who you consider to be the greatest coach ever and what have you, with Tom Brady on the opposite end of on the opposite side of the ball, ready to capitalize off of every little mistake that was made by Eli Rogers, by Coates, by Hamilton, by Jesse James, by Todd Haley, by Keith Butler. All of these things had nothing to do with Antonio Brown, who required double coverage most of the game and was on relative lock and key because of it. In the case of Odell Beckham Jr., he didn't show up. He dropped passes. See, that's the difference. I didn't see Antonio Brown dropping passes. I saw him attracting attention. I saw them keying on him. I saw the great Bill Belichick isolating against him and saying, we're going to make these other secondary supplementary parts beat us. And they couldn't do it. But certainly Antonio Brown did his job considering the circumstances. It wasn't good what he did with the Facebook Live. It was very bad. But he showed up yesterday and did his job to the best of his ability. Odell Beckham Jr., who I love, did not show up in that game against the Green Bay Packers. He dropped passes. He legitimately cost the New York Giants 10 points early.
In his first playoff game.
In his first playoff game. That is the difference, which is why, to me, Odell is worse, not Antonio Brown.
So I know I'm probably not going to get off the subject here. So Terry Collins wrote an article. The title is NFL's Antonio Brown apparently has a big 6-figure Facebook deal.
It's about $484,000, about 4 Facebook Live posts per month.
Right. So this
from what I hear.
So this goes back to my point last week. That wasn't about disrespecting the coach. That wasn't about I don't care what Coach Tomlin says. It was about I love Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is building a brand. Part of my brand I am getting money for. I'm going to give these people what they want. And then when I show up late to my press conference to apologize for my Facebook Live, I will Snapchat myself getting a haircut. And then when I speak about what I did, I won't say I apologize for what I did. I will make sure to mention Facebook Live when I apologize. Right? That's Antonio. Here is why it's worse what Odell did. Antonio's transgression was worse, right? But because of the way he's built, because of his self-centeredness, because he don't care what Stephen A. say about him, he don't care what Max Kellerman says about him, he doesn't care what Coach Tomlin says about him. Because of that, his ability to play football, because of those things, will not be effective because those people do not count. It is not important to him. He can go play football and the world could be crumbling around him.
His brand.
him. Now, Odell Beckham Jr. is different. Odell Beckham Jr. was affected by the trip, and not necessarily affected by the trip as to where it messed up his play physically, that he was tired or that he was haggard by travel, that he was jet lagged. It affected him because he focuses on it, because he is emotional, because he does care what Matt Kellerman says, he does care what Stephen A says, he does care what Landon Collins, Eli Apple, Eli Manning, McAdoo say. If you polled 52 New York Giants and 52 Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm willing to bet every dollar I've ever made the Giants want to play with Odell more than the Steelers want to play with Antonio Brown.
Doesn't that make Antonio Brown's transgression worse?
It does. It doesn't mean that he should catch more flack for how the game went. Yes, the transgression is worse. That's what I said. But he shouldn't be catching more. He shouldn't be catching more criticism after the game than Odell. Odell deserves the criticism because when you're out on the field in no shirt with an attempt to show that, oh, I don't have a shirt on here, just like I didn't have a shirt on the yacht, and I'm going to go out and ball, and then you drop the first third down pass, that starts to affect your play. So when you drop the last one and you're looking at your hands, people understand that now you are pressing because you understand the perception of what happened, and now you care. Antonio Brown does not care.
I want a clarification on something. So it sounds like it's good that he cares because his teammates like him, and that's a good thing to be. Are you saying that Odell needs to figure out a way to care and ball, or are you saying that by any means necessary, just get the job done? If that means you don't care, fine. If that alienate your teammates, if that means you do care, fine, figure it out.
I'm not saying that what Antonio Brown does as a teammate is okay. But what I'm saying is, what he did on Facebook Live affected the Pittsburgh Steelers' New England Patriots outcome none. It did not affect it at all. I can't say for sure, because I didn't talk to Odell, that it bothered him. But when I watched him play, when I watched him press, when I watched him deteriorate throughout the game, I feel like the week talking about the trip, I felt like that affected him. Going into this game, I said, the Facebook Live situation will not affect Antonio Brown one single bit, and it didn't. He was targeted 9 times, caught 7. He was doubled the whole game. He caught the same amount of passes this game as he caught last. He just didn't have the 51-yard run after catch.
And not only that, they were playing against a team that clearly was superior on this particular day. There's no doubt about it. And more importantly, even though they both acted up, Antonio Brown didn't address the media post-game. Neither did Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. punching the wall, ultimately headbutting the locker, whereas Antonio just departed without talking to the media. What was the reason for that? One could argue Antonio Brown was upset that they lost. Odell Beckham Jr. was upset because of the shrapnel of criticism he knew was aimed in his direction.
Who's looking good today?
You see who did, and who's looking
Julio
good today?
Jones.
Julio Jones.
Thank you for that segue, Brian. That was great insight on Odell being a team player, et cetera. Appreciate that.